Saw 5 is a 2008 horror film which exactly how many movies does it take for something to become a franchise? Well, either way, this film is directed by David Hackle, who, funny story, he was the director of photography for the previous 4 Saw movies, so he kind of got promoted as the director for this, which is very cool. The plot is we see that Special Agent Strom, who he was supposed to die in this glass box trap, he somehow survived, so he's the only one now that's close enough to try to figure out who Jigsaw's apprentice is. And when he does find out that it's Detective Hoffman, he does everything he can to prove it. Now, what I think of Saw 5 is, in my last review I said that Saw 4 was possibly the weakest in the series, but I don't know. This one, too, might be up there. I mean, again, it's not a bad movie, but just like Saw 4, I do think it's a little disappointing in some aspects. Let's talk about Special Agent Strom, who I like in this film. I like that because I liked him in the last movie. He was the hard ass who was hell-bent on finding out the apprentice. I like him because right out the gate, you see him get put in a trap. And he's in that glass box that's only covering his head. It fills up with water. And I also think I respect the fact that the actor did that stunt himself. But the moment when he takes his pen and sticks it in his throat to survive, that's when you go, wow, this guy means business. One thing, though, that's a little funny about his character is that because he stuck the pen in his throat, his voice is all funny now. For the whole movie, he has this raspy strain in his voice. I mean, for people who thought that Christian Bale's Batman voice was annoying, this one is even more annoying. Now, Detective Hoffman, even with a character like Jigsaw, you could understand his philosophy, his psychology of why he did what he did. Hell, even Amanda could come across as sympathetic. Hoffman, not so much. He is pretty much the villain. He's a bad guy. Sure, they touch on some backstory on his sister being murdered by her boyfriend. And I admit the scene where he kills the boyfriend and sets it up to look like a Jigsaw trap, alright, I can give it that. But again, the moment when you see him being praised for being this great cop and he gets the award and stuff and you just know he doesn't give a shit about it and it's all fake and phony, that's when I don't like his character. There's another agent, Special Agent Erickson, who gets added to the case, and I guess he was alright. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to him either. There was a lot of moments, especially towards the end, where all of this evidence is pointing towards Agent Strom to look like the guy, and the fact that he believes it so easily is a little weird. It makes him look dumb because, sure, I guess he's supposed to go after every leads, but I don't know, most of it just seems a little too convenient or too obvious. Either that or I guess Strom was so sloppy that it's this easy to catch the guy. Now, there's another side plot going on with these 5 characters who were kidnapped and they're stuck in this room and they all have to go through a series of tests and trials in order to escape. And none of that was really all that interesting. It seems like that was only there just to have a body count or just to see people along the way get killed. I did like seeing Julie Benz and Megan Good amongst the group. Some of my favorite stuff in the film obviously involves Tobin Bell as Jigsaw. The flashbacks where we see when Hoffman met Jigsaw, that had to be my favorite scene in the movie. And also the flashbacks of seeing the two of them work together, seeing that they both kidnapped that big fat guy who had to go through the barbed wire in the first movie, or even them setting up the house from Saw 2 and the trap that went on there. I don't know, I'm a sucker for seeing them set up certain traps from past movies. I could see some people saying, oh, I don't really need to see all that. The mystery behind it was more interesting, but I don't know, now that we know so much that we know, why not show stuff like that? Again, it's some of my favorite stuff in the film. Now let's talk about the traps. The one trap at the beginning, called the pendulum trap, where that's when Hoffman killed the sister's boyfriend because of what he did. And seeing that pendulum swing back and forth, I remember being in the theater and seeing that and just the noise of it and how big it looked. It was terrifying. And especially to see what it did to the guy, that was even worse. With the 5 characters, you come to the end of the film and the survivors, they have to put their arm, into these glass circles where there's a saw that's supposed to cut through their hand, and they have to drop like 5 pints of blood each in order to get out of that room. And that scene was terrible. It looked too real. Again, these Saw movies, if nothing else, the realism to some of these moments just makes it painful to watch. One trap that was a little disappointing was in the flashback from the last movie, we saw Jigsaw with this coffin and sharps and shades of glass inside of it, and we all saw that and said, holy crap, what's that for? In this movie, you see that all it is just a coffin that you can go into to protect yourself from this particular room, but that's it. It doesn't do anything, and I was very disappointed with that. But that brings me to the twist, because the twist has to be the lamest out of any of the Saw movies. There hardly is a twist, especially when you have a tagline that says you won't believe how it ends. I mean, the twist is that Hoffman was setting up Agent Strahm to be the killer. And I guess, too, that Agent Strahm was supposed to go into the coffin, but he didn't, so he ended up getting killed by the walls that closed in on each other. It's just, I don't know, I don't feel like it's much of a twist. The whole movie you could tell that Hoffman was setting Strahm up, so I don't get how that's a big surprise. I guess it's that Hoffman successfully set this guy up to get killed in this room, but again, in all of these movies, the good guys have always died. So unless they did something different, not a huge twist, if you ask me. I do enjoy things about this movie, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it, but I do think it's among the weakest in the Saw films. I don't think the ending was all that shocking like they made it out to be. So guys, let me know in the comments below if you saw Saw 5. What did you think of it? Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Later!